Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar about the latest developments here at AxonIQ. And I will be joined later this webinar by two of my colleagues. My name is Allard Buijs. I'm the founder and CTO of AxonIQ. And I will be joined by Stefan Dragišić from the Axon Server team and Mitchell Herrijgers from the AxonIQ Console team later on to show you some of the really new, exciting features that we have implemented in the last couple of months. But before we look at the future, I want to go a little bit back in time because while the From Insight to Action tagline applies to the software that we have built, I found out that it actually also applies to the strategy that we've used in the past to come up with these features and to find out what next to build, right? What problem to solve. So let's go back a little bit in time, and 2008 is actually quite a long time ago, about 16 years. And if you have kids, just imagine them 16 years younger, if possible. That's really a long time ago. But 16 years ago, there was a bit of frustration there, and there was a lot of frustration about why does my application explode in terms of complexity? Why is it so hard to build this seemingly simple feature into this existing system? And there must be the better way to do this, right? There must be something that we could do differently for it to become more efficient. And this is where in 2010, or at least in 2008, experiments started, and in 2010, this led to what we now know as the Axon Framework. The very first public availability of Axon Framework was in 2010. And this was really nice. It helped my projects at the time, and I had some colleagues also working on projects, and there was a community slowly forming. And if we fast forward to around 2015, we've started to notice that while up to then the number of downloads would just gradually increase and at least show that there was some usage in the community, our monthly downloads really started to grow exponentially. And that left us wondering why. And so, of course, it's really nice to see that there's a lot of adoption. But it's even nicer if you understand why that happens, right? Is there a specific movement that leads to the increased adoption, or are we just being lucky and be in the right place at the right time? So we did a little bit of investigation, and of course that took a little while, but we found out that the freshly new movement of microservices that started in around that time as well, a few years earlier, that movement really likes Axon Framework. They go really well together. So building microservices using Axon was actually a really good combination. But it wasn't all happy and it wasn't all magnificent all the time. We noticed that the companies that were doing this, and especially the larger enterprises, they faced two big challenges. One of those challenges was, how do we manage the configuration of all that messaging at larger scale? It became really complex to manage because in the end, Axon Framework just hands it over to whatever distributed messaging system that you were using, but you have to connect all the dots. And then if you have lots of applications, you will have those dots everywhere. So you have to connect them all. And every time you add new instances of applications, you have to think of how to best connect them. And the other problem was that, especially with event sourcing, you tend to keep track of all of the events that you have been gathering in the past, and not only in the near past, but also in the distant past. So how do you manage that increasing volume? And even worse, as your volume grows and probably your ambitions on a business level increase, the performance of your system degrades, and that is not a combination that you would want. So we need to find a way to tackle that problem. And these were two problems that we mostly identified with very large installations at some very large enterprises. And this is where we thought we found a way to sustainably develop open source software as well. In the end, something has to be commercial somewhere for it to be really sustainable. And in 2017, July 1st to be exact, we founded AxonIQ, and on that other picture you see the 7 mugs of the 7 people that were there on day one. And we took a little while to develop Axon Server, which was released in 2019. In the beginning of the year, we officially released Axon Server after a couple of earlier releases and different products that ultimately led to this. And in the years that followed, we found out that Axon Server was indeed a great solution for enterprises. And it was really great for these applications at scale, and it deals very well with large event store volumes. So we've proven that it tackles these problems for these large enterprises in a, well, I can say commercially viable way. And that was really great. And we were really happy with that. But as we found out yet another few years later, it's not just the large enterprises that Axon Server was really useful to. We also found out that smaller applications or in smaller businesses also had a lot of advantages with Axon Server, but it had to be a little bit more affordable for them, right? The enterprise pricing does not really scale to smaller enterprises. Yet simply making it a lot cheaper would well, do disjustice to the value that Axon Server creates for these larger enterprises. And then the other thing is that it had to be easier to use Axon Server, right? If you want to speak to a larger audience, in the end, Axon Server has to be just a install next finish kind of installation procedure. And also when you access the interfaces of Axon Server, it had to be really easy to find your way. And this is where very recently we released Axon Server 2024.0. And unlike all of the other versions, this is a pretty big overhaul of, well, mostly the user interface, but also the pricing model, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I would like to ask my esteemed colleague Stefan Dragic on stage. Welcome, Stefan. And he will show you around with what is new in Axon Server 2024.0. Go.
Hi everybody, my name is Stefan and I'm from Axon Server team, and I would like to show you what is new in 2024. So as Allard mentioned, and what many of you that used Axon Server before noticed, that the biggest change is the complete revamp of the UI. But it's not only the appearance that we worked on, so it's not only looking pretty, but over the years, Axon Server grew with features a lot, and at one point we basically found that we don't have some features even displayed at the moment. So, and we had a lot of feedback from the users, from you, and the things that we learned basically using the Axon Server as well. And we decided to basically start from scratch and design the new UI basically that can leverage all of these features in a nice, simple way, and to help you visualize everything that you need to know about your event store. So basically, let me show you around to show you what is new. The first thing that that welcomes you when you open the Axon Server is this overview. And before we had this diagram basically, and a lot of people like this diagram. So it has a really nice, simple visual overview of the system and what is happening at the moment. So we wanted really to keep that. But the previous diagram was pretty static. It was an image basically, and it was not scalable. So at some point things get messy. So we wanted to keep it, but add more features to it, so you have more basically control over it. So what we did, we basically added these nodes are now not anymore static, so you can move them around, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, and what was most requested, you can easily filter or filter out the nodes. So for example, here if I hover over the ephemeral context, it only shows which nodes have this context. So there is no application basically having this context. But if I hover over the application, I can see to which context this application is connected to. But it's not only that. So we also really wanted to work on early problem detection. We found that really important. So for example, we can see here there is another application that has some issue here. And that is, if we click here and we can see basically there is something blinking next to the event processors, and we open it and we can see the message that not all segments are claimed. So we can easily solve that. And before, basically you notice this if something goes wrong in your application. So we really wanted to now show this in front of you, blinking when you visit the Axon Server. So it's really important to detect the problems easy and to fix them before they escalate. But that's not the only problem detection. So for example, right now I have restarted one of the Axon Server nodes, and you can see at the same moment something is wrong with Axon Server. There is this check engine icon on the right. It's going to pop up, and you can basically click here, and now the problem is solved actually. So the node restarted and it disappeared. But you can also visit this panel here, and this is another page that we wanted to add to support more of this problem detection. So the same graph you have on the right side. And next to it, you have the basic health information. So CPU, memory usage, disk space. One of the common failures was the disk space were full. People were not aware, and it led to some really nasty errors. Next to that, there is the system tasks. And in this example here, we can see that we mistyped the local host and we couldn't register a node. So we can just cancel this, and this task is not going to bother us anymore in the logs. Next to this, what we added is a few more features that you don't want to use on a daily basis, but it's there to help you if you really need it. For example, there is this debug console where you can just type help and you can see available commands. So for example, I can type logs, and it enables you to read the logs without bothering maybe an admin guy in the middle of the night if you suspect something is wrong. Another thing is this icon here, which enables you to download the diagnostic package, which includes a lot of things: logs, thread dumps, file names, even checksums if you need it. So if you're a user of Axon Server Enterprise or you have support, basically you can just download this package and send it to us if you have any issues and you want us to basically help you with that. So next to that, what we have worked on is the search page. So the search page hasn't changed a lot, but it has some features that help you browse your history. So for example, let's find a few events. So let's go Europe, let's search. So you can see there is a lot of white space around. So first thing, what you can do, you can get more space. You can collapse the menu, you can click here, and now you have more space. So now you have all the space that you basically need. Another thing, what you can do is you can automatically compose a query. So for example, I want to find all the events type of card issue event. So I just click on this field and it automatically composes this field. So I can now click yes. And so you can see some columns are empty. So I want basically to hide some columns. Now I have even more space, and I want to include some payload. Okay, the view now has changed. What is cool that we can now export this view directly. If I click export view, it's going to export a JSON file or XML file with all the events that you currently have here in the view. But that's not all. So you can also click to view the event, and you have all the fields separately, and you can copy each event, and you can also copy all of these fields at once. So we really hope that this is going to help you with searching your history. Regarding the contexts, we really wanted just to simplify basically how you can use it. So now we have simplified that you can easily create a ephemeral context, and you can easily create tier storages. But I think what is the most notable change is this page commands and queries. So before, if you used Axon Server, there was a big matrix with a lot of numbers that shows you basically how many commands has been fired by which application. So we want to make this more visual to easily understand. So now basically you have some basic metrics, which is a command latency, you have active commands, you have commands executed. So let me fire a few commands. You can see live in the action. So you can see graphs start going colorful. Something is happening. Luckily, we have no errors. But what gives you a little bit more detail is this command heat map. So this heat map currently has only one column, but it can grow pretty large. And it shows you all the applications, all the commands, and basically the number of commands that are being dispatched, handled, or distribution. And distribution is basically between applications, how many which application has sent and how many which one received commands. So it shows you basically that your load balancing is working correctly. Next to that, you can download all of these statistics by clicking on the hamburger icon. You can also filter if you have too many commands and you just want to find some of them, you can easily access the filter here. Another part of this early problem detection is the long-running commands. I currently have no running commands, luckily. But if you have any, you are going to be able to see the command that is running longer than 1 second. And if it's running long enough, you will be able to even cancel it. You will see which command is it. So sometimes this creates a bottleneck, slowing down other commands. So this is going to help you basically find the issue early and solve it. Next, the query is basically the same. The next big thing is the scheduled events or the event page. So the event page is completely new. And I have just scheduled a few events, so you can see. So in the event page, we have two tabs. One is scheduled events and one is stream. So scheduled events, this is a feature that we had for some time now, but there was no UI for it. So you can schedule event for some time to be published, but you basically need to keep ID yourself. If you want to cancel it later, you can call API, so it was not user-friendly. So we opted to add this option in the UI. Next is the stub streams. This is an experimental feature right now, and it's only available if you enable a dev mode. Actually, the Axon framework does not yet support it, so it's you need some client basically specific to test this. But this is upcoming feature in the next big release, which is basically going to help you to get rid of your token store. So Axon Server is the one that's going to keep track how many events you consumed and how many it needs to deliver to your client more. And you will have a nice overview of all of this. And you will be able to see if the client is behind, if it catched up. So basically, I think it's going to boost the performance without, so you don't need the token store. And there are a lot of different things that we also added. So also a dark theme, and there are so many more. So I encourage you to download Axon Server and try it yourself. So I could talk probably an hour about all the features, but another thing that beside the UI that we worked on is the implementation for the new plans. So if I go to the license page, I can see here now I have plans and features, and they're not just standard and enterprise anymore. They changed, but I will leave that to Allard to tell you more about this exciting news.
Thank you, Stefan, for this introduction and or showing all the great features that are on Axon Server, and the smooth introduction to the new plans. Indeed, this is one of the areas where I think company-wide the biggest change has happened, and I think literally every person in the company has, in one or another way, been involved with this change, and we're really excited about it, and we really hope that you will like it. So what we've done is, we've always had two, and we call them editions of Axon Server, right? There was Axon Server Enterprise Edition and Standard Edition, and up until the 2023 version, there were even different deliverables. In 2023, it was the same deliverable, and depending on whether you had an enterprise license or not, you could use the enterprise features or not. But what we noticed is that there was actually a pretty big gap between the Standard Edition and the Enterprise Edition. And that gap was in terms of functionality. So basically, Standard Edition gives you a single node, single context Axon Server, but it does give you the essential message routing and event storage features, right? The essential features for your application to interact with Axon Server are all in the Standard Edition, and then also obviously in the Enterprise Edition. And the Enterprise Edition would allow you to introduce clustering. It had multi-context support. There was location awareness support if you have geographically distributed clusters, so it can take care of which applications connect to which instances, so that events don't have to travel the planet twice for no reason. So that kind of features, and there was integration with all sorts of authentication and authorization modules. And of course, there was the SLA. Now, we've done a few things to essentially bridge that gap, and to, more importantly, to make the benefits more accessible to companies that don't necessarily have enterprise budgets available. And first of all, was renaming the edition. So from now on, we'll not talk about editions, but rather plans. So you can use the developer plan or the enterprise plan. Notice that Standard was renamed to developer. It does not mean you're not allowed to use it in production. It is just not designed for serious production workloads. But yeah, it doesn't mean that you cannot do that. And then we have added two plans in between developer and enterprise, and the pricing is very gradual. The basic plan is available as of $100 a month, which is quite significantly cheaper than the average enterprise plan, which is around $4,000 or $5,000 per month. So the basic plan is the first one that introduces clustering. It is still single context, because for the vast majority of applications that is enough. But clustering is an essential feature for serious production environments. So that's what we decided to add in the basic plan. And then we have the Pro plan, and Pro plan gets more serious. You have built multi-contexts. There's some identity and access management features there, both for humans interacting with Axon Server as well as applications. There is support for it as well with a rather broad SLA. If you really want the strict SLAs, where you want us to respond within or in the order of magnitude of minutes, then that's still the enterprise plan. But Pro gives you all of the serious features to use Axon Server in a serious environment. So these are the new plans. They have a pricing model that increases as you increase the plans, and there's also a usage component. So if you use it at small scale, and it's based on the number of connected applications that you have. So if you have smaller amounts of applications connected, you pay less than when you gradually increase the usage of Axon Server. But then, of course, there's a big question of, okay, how do we get this Axon Server in production? Because you need to have the software, you need to have obviously the license. There has to be some form of payment, if we let you call our salespeople the whole time, they will be very busy. But it's also just not the way we want to help you get Axon Server in production. So what we want you to be able to host Axon Server anywhere, wherever you want, right? If you have your own data center, if you have your bare metal machines, you should be able to host it right there. If you're on a cloud provider, which is more regional, that's fine too. You can install it there. If you want to be one of the larger worldwide cloud providers, the Googles, the Amazons, or the Azures, that's fine too. It has to be able to run anywhere. Wherever you have your applications, that's where you should be able to run Axon Server as well. Of course, we want that installation to be easy. You don't want to be spending time installing Axon Server somewhere. And a single node Axon Server has always been easy because you just need to start it up and then it works because it's only a single node. Setting up a cluster is always a little bit more tedious. But what we want is for you to just start a node and then start another one, and they have to be able to detect each other, right? And the more automatic that is, the better it is as well. Obviously, everything has to be self-service. You want to do things at your pace and not have to wait for others, right? It's really annoying if you need to get on a phone before you can actually start using something. If you just have a free hour during lunch, go ahead and well, you'll be up and running within a few minutes. And another desire that we had is the not having the long-term commitment, right? You should not have to commit to a full year of Axon Server if you just if you're a very small company and you're yet to figure out what it is exactly that you want or need from it. So the commitment currently is just 1 month. You can just cancel the subscription whenever you want after that month. And of course, pay as you go or grow. So the ability to start really small and grow into the plans as you need more of it. That was a very important and crucial requirement that we had. And then we started wondering, like, what is the best way to do this? What kind of platform do we have where we can hook this in and give people the quick access and just the easy onboarding experience? And this is where we realized, well, we have AxonIQ Console. We launched that a couple of months ago officially, but it has been running in beta for quite a while already. Well, we have Console, and we've decided to make all of those plans available through AxonIQ Console. So you can just create an account there, log in, and start using Axon Server using the configuration from the UI. And to show you how that works, I would like to invite my colleague Mitchell from the AxonIQ Console team to show us around.
Yeah, hey, good day, everyone. I am, as introduced, Mitchell from the AxonIQ Console team, and I have had the pleasure of having been there since day one. And I will take you today on some of the new and some of the already existing features for people that have not seen Console yet. So the point of AxonIQ Console is to provide you with a platform that is your one-stop for Axon. As soon as you onboard on AxonIQ Console, nowadays, you will get an introduction. So even if you log in and you don't know anything about Axon, we will give you a short intro, and then you will be able to do either of two things: connect your Axon Framework application or run the demo. As I don't want to develop an application live here right with you, I will start to run our bike rental demo. Our bike rental demo has been made by Allard initially for his conference talks, and we have modified it with a model that will automatically run it. So this way you will get insights into how the bike rental application runs in AxonIQ Console, and we can show you why you would actually like to have Console. So to run the bike rental demo, we provide you with a Docker Compose file, and you have to run that Docker Compose file from the command line. Now, in order to save some time, I've already done this. So let me just quickly complete this. So now we have the bike rental locally running on my PC, and I can even prove that by it's running right here in the background. Now we can continue, and it will again show you some resources, and we can go to the workspace where This worked during the demo earlier. What happened here? All right. So this is where we would have supposed to land, and I will investigate later what exactly happened here. But what you can see here is that right now I have 5 Axon Framework applications running locally and 1 healthy Axon Server node with a very nice name given to it by the Docker host name. So as you can see right here, we provide an overview of the health status of your services as well. This will progress later into a more active monitoring where we can send you emails or page duty alerts when there are things wrong with your application. But for now, this is the start of it. So you will see that if I stop an event processor, which is one of the core functionalities of the console, it will immediately show you in the start page that something is wrong and that we should probably start that event processor. So if we look at the functionality that was already there for your Axon Framework application, we can manage event processors, see the statistics on the event processors, such as the latency, the number of nodes, and the segment claimed percentage. If you pay for a team plan, you can also get auto-scaling of your event processors. So the amount of segments of your event processors scales with the amount of applications online. So this means that your Kubernetes auto-scaling now automatically can scale your event processor segments, whereas it could not do that before. We also collect some pretty interesting metrics on aggregates and handlers. So for example, the bike aggregate here, we can very clearly see where the time is spent on each command. We are having very little overhead. We have some aggregate load time, which is to be expected. We need to get those events from the event store. And we have some aggregate load time, event store publish time. We need to append those events. We can really tear apart the metrics with the 90th percentile, the median, the maximum, and see how our application behaves in terms of aggregate locking, loading, and committing events into the database. And last but not least, we have an overview of all the handlers. And we can see that we have 147 events per minute for the payment prepared event, and that has been dispatched by the prepare payment event. Now we can also visualize this in the message flow diagram, which shows the causation of your events and commands. So we can see that the request bike command leads to bike requested event. It's one event, but it's handled by 2 separate processors. So the rental query application handles it, but it's also handled by the rental payment application, which is a different flow, because this one actually leads to the prepare payment command, and that will be handled as well there. So we can really follow the messages through our system. Now, this is what was already there. But what we have added is a way for you to easily buy an Axon Server subscription. Because like Allard said, we want it to be easy for you. We want you to be able to run it anywhere. So let's buy it. We have a clear overview of the costs and the features right here in the console. So we can buy a cluster right here. So with the Pro variant, we get the multi-context feature, which is the one I want. And based on these features, I want to probably connect about 40 applications. Now, when I buy this, I will be redirected to Stripe to do my payments. I already set up my billing details here, and I can pay and subscribe. Now, this is Stripe being a little bit slow on me today. And now we have actually 3 nodes in our cluster, where node 2 and node 3 are pending setup. But don't worry, setup is easy because we have included the guides to set it up right here in console. So you want to install it on Debian with apt? Yes, you can. You want to install it with Docker Compose? Yes, you can. We have the Docker Compose right here. Or don't like Compose and want the CLI? That one needs some work. But you can also just download and run it. We have some easy properties to define here for running the Axon Server cluster, and it will connect. And now, I already set this up using the Docker Compose method. It's the pre-setup demo cluster here. As you can see, we monitor AxonIQ Console with AxonIQ Console 2, but we will go into the pre-setup one. So now we can see here that I have an Axon Server cluster. I don't have any Axon Framework applications in this environment at this point in time, which is why these tabs are gray. And now we have a healthy cluster. Or do we? Let's destroy it. I have a nice Docker stop command here, and we're going to destroy it. And now you will see that this node is online, and in a little bit, these Axon servers will start complaining about that they're missing a node in the cluster, that they haven't heard from the other guys. They will receive a warning. But it takes up to 30 seconds. All right. I'm not sure why it doesn't start. Detecting that the other node isn't there, unfortunately. All right. The plans for this are that you will be able to monitor your Axon Server and Axon Framework application and be able to alert on any condition in your system that isn't there. So you will be able to say goodbye to your Grafana and your Prometheus. Just connect your application and Axon Server to console, and we will handle the rest for you. Right now, you can easily buy Axon Server plans in console. You will buy it for this month, and you can downgrade and upgrade as you go. That's as simple as a click in the UI. With this, Allard will wrap up the session, and then we will go into the Q&A. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mitchell. All right, thank you, Mitchell, for that demo of AxonIQ Console. Really exciting to see how easy it is to just click a cluster together and just copy paste the commands from the UI into whatever console that you're using and get them up and running. I have to say it is so easy. Even I could do it by just Control C, Control V is basically the only thing that you need to do. So to wrap things up. So we've seen Axon Server and the new plans. I accidentally called it the basic plan in the earlier slide. My apology, it's called Starter Plan. Developer, Starter, Pro, and Enterprise plans, and how AxonIQ Console not only allows you to inspect your Axon Framework applications, but now also can be used to make Axon Server more accessible to those applications, because we truly believe that. And we've seen it so many times in production. These applications run so much smoother with Axon Server. So we really want everybody to be able to leverage those advantages and not waste time on the seemingly free stuff that really ends up being immensely expensive in terms of frustrations and man hours. We need to get our family time back. So if you want to get started, just go to console.axonic.io and just follow the entire onboarding process. It should be really as easy as that to get going. So with that, I'd like to thank you. And if you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and we will try to answer them right away. So there's one question already. Are there any changes to Axon Synapse? Yes, there are actually. Axon Synapse is still under development, but we wanted to focus in this webinar on some of the bigger changes. So Synapse has been introduced a while ago. I don't even recall when exactly that was. But we are still actively developing that based on feedback that we receive and what can be improved. And the goal of Synapse is to make Axon Server accessible for non-Axon Framework applications. So obviously, Axon Framework integrates with Axon Server really nicely. But if you have applications that run in different languages, you don't even have the possibility to use Axon Framework. So in that case, you can use Axon Synapse to interact with Axon Server. It's basically a bridge. So we are still actively developing that, but there has not been any major, let's say, breakthrough on that part yet. But you should definitely watch this space, and maybe during our conference we might just have some really exciting news in September. Is there a plan to release Axon 5 this year? Well, yes, the plan is there. I am in the fortunate position to be able to make plans. Unfortunately, it's not realizable to have Axon 5 ready before the end of the year. It is a lot of work, and we don't really want to do it halfway. So Axon 5 is something that we are really striving to get a feature preview version ready around our conference. So that's when you can taste the first changes in Axon 5. It will probably be buggy and incomplete, but at least it will give you a good feel of what we're trying to achieve there. Now the questions are jumping in, so we need to. I'll hand this one over to Stefan. Stefan, has the Reset Axon store button been removed from the Axon Server UI?
No, actually, can I get the screen share again? Not this one. Just a second. Yes, this one. So if you enable development mode, like I did here, if you go to contexts and new button appears between edit and delete. So there is this purge events. So you can reset a context in that way. So the feature is there. I can partially just also answer will the Axon Server and console overlap in administration. So regarding the monitoring, no. So this is just the basic stuff. If you want more advanced metrics and insights, the Axon Console is for that. Regarding this event processor, we actually plan to remove that in some time in the future in Axon Server, and the streams become the main basically feature to control the clients and the consumption of the events, but everything else stays in the console. So maybe Aller has more explanation how they will overlap Axon Server and console.
Yeah, essentially they seem to serve a common goal. We really want to focus Axon Server on the communication side and connecting applications, no matter what technology those applications use. Whereas AxonIQ Console really has a deep knowledge of how the framework works and what different components are there and how they interact. And that's why in AxonIQ Console, you get much more details on the different times, the loading time of an aggregate, for example. There's no way for Axon Server to know that, and that's what we don't want in there. So we want to keep Axon Server away from any framework knowledge. And as Stefan indicated, the overview with the event processors, that already is a little bit too detailed in the Axon framework side. We won't remove any features without very long advance notice. So probably this one will remain for a long time. But we definitely are not planning to add any more of those features in Axon Server, but rather have them in AxonIQ Console. Now, when it comes to those streams, as Stefan said, the persistent streams, that's where Axon Server manages the progress of consumers reading the streams, which is again agnostic of the technology that's on the other side to read them. So in that case, Axon Server will report on the progress and the availability of those different streams. I hope that answers the question. That was that question, yes. Do we have any more questions? It's always difficult to know if people are typing or there's no questions. Well, don't hesitate to drop a comment in the video, even after we've gone offline. You can still post the messages, and I do believe this recording will be available for replay later on. If that doesn't happen automatically, I'm pretty sure that it will be published very shortly. And of course, you can post your comments and your questions there, and we will get a notification that there's comments on our videos and respond to those questions. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that that you find it useful, and that we realized our ambition to make Axon Server more accessible in different ways. So again, thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day, and hope to see you soon.